All right, welcome to the February 4th Board of Supervisors meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so I'll start with roll call. Supervisor Coyle is going to be out this evening. Supervisor Grenier? Here. Supervisor Reese?
Here.
Supervisor Lewis?
Present.
And Supervisor Ross is here. All right, so number 4, community announcements. Supervisor Lewis?
All right, welcome. A reminder, during this portion of the agenda, residents and youth organizations may call to make a special announcement or contact the township at admin@lmt.org to request a special announcement to be added to the agenda. Item B, the Yardley Farmers Market will be at the community center. That's our community center, 1550 Oxford Valley Road, the first and third Saturdays of every month until April 2026 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you are looking for special artisanal foods, good meats, all kinds of preserves, you definitely want to check that out. Item C, the Lower Makefield Township Police Department invites you to apply to our Citizens Police Academy. It's a free interactive program for LMT residents ages 18 and older that gives community members a hands-on look at modern policing in Lower Makefield Township. For more information or how to apply, visit the link at Facebook. It's on the agenda. You can read the URL there. The Kiwanis Club of Washington's Crossing Yardley invites the public to an exciting evening of bag bingo on February 13th, 2026 at the St. Ignatius Church in Yardley. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. and bingo starts at 7:30 p.m. The event will feature 12 thrilling rounds of bingo where big players have the opportunity to win luxury designer handbags, including Michael Kors. All proceeds from the event will go towards helping underserved families and children in our community. Additional information and registration details can be found at the Kiwanis Club Washington Crossing Yardley website at washingtoncrossingyardleykiwanis.org. Finally, the Environmental Advisory Council will be hosting a free Valentine's Day lecture by Michael Wellbacher entitled Naughty by Nature on Saturday, February 14th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. in the main reading room right here in the Township Building, 1100 Edgewood Road, Yardley, PA. People have told me that it's a wonderful way to spend your Valentine's Day with your special person. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, number 5, public comment on non-agenda items. If you have any comments, please come up to the podium, state your name, and if you're a resident of the township, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes, and do not repeat previous comments. Any public comment tonight? Any on the phone? All right, that's it. So next, interviews for boards and commissions. First interview we have is for the 9/11 25th Year Remembrance Committee, and Beth McNamara is first. You can just come up to the, either or, if you want to sit, if you want to stand, and just make sure the mic is on, little green light, and that's it. All right, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for applying. I'll start it off with Supervisor Grenier.
Well, Ms. McNamara, if you'd like, feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to be a part of this committee.
My name is Beth McNamara. I've been a Lower Makefield resident for 25 years. I have, since the inception of ceremonies at the Garden, I have attended, and then fast forward to about 2010, started helping with the ceremonies. I've attended morning, I've attended evening. I believe in never forgetting and honoring those victims, first responders, year after year.
I was looking at your resume and it looks like you have a lot of community service in your background. So
I do.
Turn on
I'm
my
like a
mic.
full-time job with a lot of community service. I used to say when my kids were little, I am the stay-at-home mom that works full-time.
Yeah, I
But you only get that time in your life once, so. And 9/11 really reinforced that for me, that you have to embrace every single day.
Appreciate that. That's all I have.
All right, Supervisor Reese.
I've known Beth for quite a while, and I know she has been very active and very helpful. And I know this is 25 years. So So I know you've been with us and working with us since the garden and from its inception. I really don't have any questions for you at all.
Supervisor Lewis?
Yes, thank you so much for applying, Beth. I think I first got to know you Quarry Hill PTA, am I right? Oh, my gosh.
President of the PTO for 4 years.
Yes, for a long time. Okay, I've been here a long time as well. Do you have any particular visions for things that you think the events, either the morning or evening event, need, or ideas that you've thought about at all?
I think that doing something a little different than has been done, particularly for the evening service, we don't want it to become mundane. We don't want it to be what people expect necessarily, and I think that 25 years later, it's important to focus on our young people, honoring and recognizing, because the legacy will not continue if we don't continue to educate our young children. I was very integral in that at Quarry Hill to make sure that there was a child of Victor Saraceni there on 9/11, and it was very important to me that that was honored year after year at that school, and it continues to do so.
So I think that's all I have.
I don't have any questions, but thank you so much for applying and everything you've done for the community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be considered.
All right, next for the 9/11 25th Year Remembrance Committee, Ellen Saraceni. Just same thing, come up, state your name. Thank you very much for applying.
Okay. Ella Saraceni. I've lived in the township for almost 35 years, so I've been here a lot longer than a lot of people who are up there. I've worked on ceremonies since 2002 when there was nothing but a field out where the Garden of Reflection was. Why I want to do this, I do this every year. It's important for us to remember all those that we lost, and Lower Makefield Township lost 9 people. So we honor that in our township. We honor the 18 Bucks County, and we honor everyone that we lost. 25 years is a monumental time now for us, and I'm taking an interest in, of course, working the night ceremony, which is what I want to do. Now, that doesn't mean that Judy and I aren't going to be speaking and working things out and coordinating, because there is a lot of back and forth we're both using. She will, I'm sure, handle the morning, and there are a lot of things that are coordinated between the two events from the morning to the night.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Reese?
Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
God, we've walked this path for 25 years together. It just kind of hits me when I say 25 years. I just want to make sure, like Beth said, that we make sure that we're getting our young people, because we're not going to be here forever. And I know that my daughter goes to 1 or 2 schools every year. One of my sons is very active this year with the museum in New York, and I don't know what else he's doing. But I think it's important, like you said, for us to have something meaningful, that family-friendly, so people will bring their children. I want, history is lost if we don't teach our children. It's simple enough, and I appreciate everything you've done, because when it was too hard for me, you were still able to do it, and I was amazed. So thank you.
We all do what we can. We do for each other when we can't do it, and everyone else catches up.
Supervisor Lewis?
I don't really have much of a question. I know it's going to be a difficult time, but a very solemn event, and for us to think about how we bring renewed focus for people to understand and what happened 25 years ago. So, and I know that's something you've been working on every day since, so we'll continue. So, thank you.
Supervisor Grenier?
Really no questions. I'm familiar, obviously, with what you've been doing in the township at the federal level, not only with the memorial, but everything else you've been doing for awareness and for safety in our skies and everything else. So thank you for all of that. And I'm sure there's a ton more that I have no idea that you've been working on that's been benefiting us, so I appreciate that too. So,
I have a secretarial position open if you want to apply for that.
I don't know if I'm organized enough for that, but appreciate it. But no, seriously, in all seriousness, it's obviously a solemn occasion that we want to mark and provide the best program we can across the board for the whole day and time leading up to it and after that, so we don't forget. And I don't think anyone up here will ever forget that. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what this group can come up with and how we can make sure it's a wonderful in the right way occasion, if that makes sense to you.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
So thank you.
Yes, I appreciate everybody wanting to work, and everything that everyone is saying is wanting this to be meaningful, thinking that the 25th year is very special, and it is. We have a whole generation that wasn't even born yet, and we're, these are people who are, they're flying planes. They're working in all our industries. They are now going to be our caregivers, who we are trying to raise, and having this respect and this remembering and honoring is very important. So I can assure you that this year's ceremony is going to be very, very touching and very to the point of what you're all saying right now.
Appreciate that.
All right, well, thank you very much for applying.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
And I know you have one person now next, but I didn't see that Eric Stark was on this tonight's, but he did get confirmation that he was going to be interviewed tonight. So I'm hoping that you can put one more person in and do 4 tonight instead of the 3, because he's here.
I'm not
and
sure,
he was
they did
told-
ask me, I don't know why it wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah, I don't
Just-
know either, but he was told that he would show up, and he is here, so maybe we could just squeeze him in.
Can we add it to the agenda?
I mean, it's going to take 2 minutes.
Typically not, but you're not making a decision this evening. You're just,
Well, if we made
Well,
an
you
appointment this
potentially
are
make an
you,
appointment.
if,
we were
Yeah.
are
talking
you
about
making an
appointing-
appointment this evening?
Yeah.
Well, he did come out tonight.
It's more about following the
It's more
rules
of a-
and our
yeah.
state rules relative to public meetings. That's
Okay.
all.
Yeah, I explained to Eric, it was not,
Maybe he needs to go to public comment.
it was not intentional. I think he has confirmed that he is available to come back to the board's next
Yeah.
meeting for interview.
Okay.
Or alternatively, we could interview him and just not appoint him tonight and
And
then
wait till next
wait till the next
That's a
meeting.
possibility. That's
Could
what I
we do
was
that?
driving
Yeah.
at. You could
All right,
do the
save
interview
the
this
trip.
evening, but not do, yes.
Yeah, that's,
That would make more sense,
save
not
it.
have
That'd be fine.
do the
Okay.
interview and
We-
we'll just.
We have an idea.
Okay,
There'll
yep,
be a 4th then.
yeah. So,
I know you don't have my resume and letter either in front of you.
Oh, I know, but I know who you are.
We're familiar with Mr.
Yeah,
I'm
whatever you're
very
comfortable-
familiar with
com-
Mr. Stark.
We can add that to the 4th then. All right, so for our third, for the 9/11 25th year remembrance, Chati Banjari, you could just come up, state your name, and we'll
Please say into the warning, I need help. I've been doing it myself. It's too hard.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Chaiti Banerjee. I live in Yardley Hunt area. I moved here around 2 years back from South Brunswick. I live with my 2 kids, 2 boys. They go to Pensbury, one high school and middle school, and my husband. So once I came to know this, this is something very close to my heart and impacted me as well. And it's still, the visual is still sometime come up. So when I got to know that, I thought, okay, instead of just thinking about it and feeling sad, maybe I can involve and contribute. That might heal me more. That's why I thought, yes.
All right, let's start it off with Supervisor Grenier.
Sure. Welcome and thank you for applying. Have you been able to attend any of our 9/11 ceremonies? As I believe from your resume, you've lived here for how long?
Yeah, like many other volunteering and social service I do,
Yeah.
because that's give me sense of purpose, sense of belonging in this
Okay.
country. I got so many things from this country. I think I should give back. And my grandfather was freedom fighter back in India. So he taught me the one way best, you belongs to some society, country that you give back more than you take.
And based on your resume, it looks like you've done a lot of that and continue to do that, so we appreciate it. I have no other questions.
Supervisor Lewis?
Thank you.
I don't at this time.
Supervisor Reese?
I don't have any questions, but thank you. I
Thank you so much.
agree with you
Thank
that
you.
it's important to give
Thank you
back.
very much for applying.
We're going to bring up Eric and just.
All right, so for our fourth, our addition, Eric, if you want to just come up, just state your name, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get it started.
My name is Eric Stark. I've been a township resident for 2.5 years now, but I've been involved with September 11th families and ceremonies and fundraising for 22 years now. When September 11th happened, I was CEO of the United Way of Bucks County. And in that role, I went out and visited each of the 18 Bucks County families that lost a loved one and offered services from our network of agencies that might be able to help the families. And out of that came 2 grief support groups, one for adults and one for children. And out of the adult group came the idea of having a memorial in Lower Makefield Township. Grace Gottschalk was a member of the Board of Supervisors at the time and kind of led the charge to encourage the township to make available, donate the land for the garden to be built. And then I was asked to be on the committee to raise the funds to build the memorial. And so I've stayed involved all along. My current role is a vice chair of the board of 9/11 Memorial Garden of Reflection, Inc., the nonprofit that Ellen started 14 years ago and established a Remembrance Fund endowment, which now is able to reimburse the township for all the maintenance costs of the garden. So that's been my involvement with the garden, and I'm extensive experience in nonprofit administration and fundraising and events, and have been involved with the planning of basically every ceremony that we've ever had at the garden.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so I'll start it off with Supervisor Lewis.
Sure, just Mr. Stark, pleasure to see you. Just a heads up, sort of explaining the situation here. We can't appoint you tonight because you're technically not on the agenda, so you'll be on the agenda or will be considered for the next month, so assuming everything's fine. I don't have any particular questions for you. I've known of your work for a while, so thank you. Thanks for volunteering.
Thank you.
Supervisor Reese?
And yes, I do remember you and then Chief Calusi coming to my door. And to quote my son yesterday to someone, in the moment when something happens, my mother is fantastic. She deals with every little part of it, and once everybody's where they're supposed to be, then she falls apart. And I think when you came to the door was about when I fell apart. Everybody was home. Everybody kind of knew what was going on, and it was okay for me to fall apart because they were all there. But I do remember, and I also know how much work you've done at the garden. Grace and I, we went back more than 25 years ago. She was a friend when I moved here 50 years ago. Yeah, I'm here 50 years, good Lord. And I appreciate what you've done. We did the candles one year. And I'd like to get that back, some of that community involvement, especially with our young people. I know it was a little messy when we did the hearts, but some type of something where we get the children involved so they know what it is. Because it comes as a shock. I have grandchildren now, and I now understand the idea of generational grief and trauma. And I had to explain to one grandchild at age 3 when she wanted to know, didn't her uncle know where she lived? And another one that looked at their father and said, why didn't you tell me? And they were only about 4 or 5. So I want to get that back, and I know you have the knowledge and the ability to do that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Judy.
Dan?
I think you said it all. Thank you for everything you've been doing in the community, not only with this group, but United Way and everything else. That's no easy task, and I probably goes underappreciated for all the work that you do. So I'm happy that you've applied, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for applying. All right, so next for the zoning hearing board, we have Larry Borda. You can just come up, state your name, tell us a little about yourself.
How are you?
Good?
Good. Larry Borda. I've been a resident here for 30-plus years. I've raised my 2 children who are now amazingly in their mid-20s, which is freaking me out. I worked in construction for 50 years. 10 of those years I was doing college and law school at night, while I worked in project management for commercial projects. For 40 years after that, I've been involved in construction law. 24 of those years, try not to do the math, it's a little daunting. 24 of those years, I defended architects and engineers in the Philadelphia area. And for the last 20-some years, I've been working in other capacities dealing with architects and engineers. It's been a busy time during the time that I have been here, especially with raising my children. But I've managed to make time to get involved in causes that are important to me, and I've also managed to be a big brother for part of that time. In addition, I am the sole caretaker for my cousin, who is the same age as I, who's mentally challenged and lives by himself in Bethlehem. I take care of his financial needs, and I take care of all of his needs after that. So the reason I'm here is that having been a resident this long and loving where I live and appreciating many things about it, and now that my children are gone, I thought it would be a good chance for me to give something back.
Thank you very much for that. Dan?
Word. Thanks for
Mr.
coming.
Grenier?
You probably already know, I'm the zoning hearing board liaison, so we had a meeting last night. I did not know you spent that much time working while going to law school. That's daunting and impressive all at the same time.
Thank you.
Good on you.
I didn't have much choice, to be honest with you.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, but you still did it, right? So I'm curious, and we interviewed another new member of the zoning hearing board last meeting who was appointed, James McCartney, who's back on the zoning hearing board as of last night's meeting. And actually, we do have one member opening. There's one member whose term is up. We also have an alternate's term who was up just a few days ago, and we have another alternate whose term is up within the next 10 or 11 days, I believe. So you can also, at some point I'll ask you which of those positions you might like, just because we do have 3 in the immediate future, right? I'm curious, zoning hearing board is very important. Most zoning hearing board meetings I've been to are fairly empty in terms of attendance. However, this room may fill up the day after a zoning hearing board meeting with folks that maybe should have gone to the zoning hearing board meeting the night before to express their opinions. I'm curious, as a zoning hearing board member, how you would look at the relative level of public participation in a zoning hearing board matter, because I hear a lot from zoning hearing board members that, oh, no one showed up, so they must not care, right? Or so maybe we can make a compromise, which has led to, and we ran the numbers, about a 95% approval rating of variance requests, if not higher, right? And those are real numbers. So I'm trying not to get on a soapbox, but I would really like to hear how you feel about hardships and whether they or not every variance constitutes a hardship, and your willingness to say no if you feel that way. So I'll leave you with that.
Well, I hate to generalize because most generalizations are untrue, but obviously what you base your decision on is what the law dictates. And I realize within that law there is some discretion. As you know, there was a hearing here about a month ago that I attended on a property that was close to where I live. And that particular property if anyone sees it, actually physically goes and looks at it, they would realize that it's just a horrendous choice for a home, from the standpoint of what it adds or detracts from the township. Now, if you look at it in a vacuum, you would say, okay, this house is seeking nothing more than a change in setbacks or a change in height restrictions or something like that, which under the law is supposed to be one of those areas where you have more latitude. But at the same time, in my mind, putting a very small rancher very close to the street in an area where it doesn't really fit and adjacent to a home where a young couple had just purchased, relying on what the zoning rules were, in that instance, I would have voted no, and I wouldn't have had any problem with that.
Appreciate that. It's a good example. I'll let somebody else ask you a question.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow, okay, so one of the things that we've been looking for in the zoning hearing board is balancing rights, right? So property owners have rights, right? They have property, but those also need to be balanced with the health, safety, and welfare of the community. So that's part of the challenge here, and that's what we're looking for just in general, so for people to understand that. One thing that struck me in terms of your background, did you have specific Saldo experience as well as the construction law stuff?
Specific?
Saldo, subdivision land development?
No.
Okay, so you were specifically on the construction side.
Correct.
So, by the way, not disqualified, in fact, helpful, because we do have a lot of issues related to engineering construction as it relates to this, so it's not necessarily in any way. I was just looking for the bonus opportunity there. So, in general, I think Supervisor Grenier asked sort of the question sort of in a way that you beat me on that one. I had a tougher version of it, but I think I might let you pass on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to, Supervisor Grenier made it nicer. I was on the zoning board, and very often, I might have been the only no, and I was basically going to ask, it's not easy when it is a neighbor or someone you know, but you know that what they want is just too much. And the ability to say no, it's like your child wants something, but you know you have to say no. And you've answered my question that you are willing to say no. I found it frustrating when I knew that most of the board members agreed with what I objected to, but they didn't have the wherewithal to say no. I'm being nice.
Well, you know, I mean, it's difficult
It's
to make a
hard.
decision that you know is going to be unpopular.
Right.
But my main concern is protecting the residents of Lower Makefield. And, you know, in my mind, you know, that's the paramount concern. If I'm dealing with a developer who comes from outside of the township as opposed to someone within the township who owns the property and has a hardship or was trying to make an existing lot more useful, to me, that requires a little bit of a difference in considerations.
Yes, we've had, I was not aware of this, we've had properties here in the township, I became aware of it, that people didn't pay taxes on, and developers were picking them up for $500 and then reselling them. And these are properties that, truthfully, if it was $500, I would have bought it and just left it alone, because it's just not, it's just,
I agree.
they're just, every little piece of ground, I know God isn't making more ground, but not every piece needs something on it other than maybe some trees or weeds or whatever. So thank you very much for
Thank you.
applying.
Thank you very much for applying.
Thank you.
All right, item 7, we have a presentation from the Trenton Mercer Airport Review Panel.
Your last meeting? Yeah.
What am I hearing?
Well, welcome.
Thank you for making time for us to get in here. I understand we have a limited window, so I'm not going to try to read everything on the charts that I've got, but I'm seeing this as kind of a leave behind, so if you see more details that you want to ask about or something, we can follow up with that, but I won't try to go through every single thing here. So, next slide, please. So the panel was established back in 2017 when the airport published a $200 million master plan to vastly expand the airport, and they were giving no consideration really to the noise or pollution effects from that project on surrounding communities. The purpose of the panel was to monitor the airport activities, coordinate with elected officials, coordinate with the public, get back with recommendations to the board. And, the purpose, just for clarification, was never to try to shut the airport. This was always to say, if they're going to expand, it just needs to be by the right procedures. Since that was initiated, other concerns have come up, which I'll talk about tonight. Pollution at the Naval Air Warfare Center, pollution on the airport grounds themselves, and most recently, in the past year, since I was here about a year ago, dramatically increased air traffic from the flight school with the propeller planes. We're still concerned with the expanded corporate jet facilities. And in this, I'll go through each of those areas briefly and give you, what we've sort of done for outreach this year and things we think can be pursued, some of which will involve more help from our elected officials, meaning you guys, as well as state and federal level, because we were hitting some roadblocks just being on our own. So next slide. On the expansion, for the sake of people who haven't been involved with this for, since 2017, there's a lot of distrust in the airport and Mercer County because they've never been forthcoming with information, and when we actually realized through an open records request, they were destroying the complaints that people were submitting to the airport. They had a website and a phone line and said, okay, you can file your complaints. It turns out they were actually being eliminated. So they could truthfully say to their elected officials, we don't have any complaints. And so when their project was going forward from the Board of Supervisors, from our state senator, and from our congressman, we had resistance to the obvious segmentation of projects the airport was pursuing to do the expansion piecewise and avoid the larger, more complicated environmental impact statement. Those protests were rebuffed at all levels, and the FAA basically helped the airport develop an environmental assessment that was disingenuous, and it said that this $200 million expansion of the airport would not lead to air traffic growth. Okay, so the FAA rubber stamped it and issued a finding of no significant impact. Now that they have that rubber stamp, the county executive talks about the airport only in terms of growth and what it's going to do for the community and make Trenton a big business center and that kind of thing. And so they're certainly celebrating the Allegiant is starting operations this month out of that airport. We've learned that the airport had expressed to WHYY, which was doing an interview about these things, that the project cost has now gone up to $300 million. So that funding isn't present for them to go execute this plan, which is one of the things I think we need to push on, and you'll hear about in our recommendations. Bonnie Watson Coleman secured $4 million for taxiway construction, federal funds. The new firefighting facility is under construction over there now, so they've secured funding for that. Some people would say, why are we worried about New Jersey and its finances? But as I understand it, the $300 million could come 90% from federal sources, which means our tax dollars are going to trying to improve the airport there. And I think $300 million for improving the baggage handling experience of the TTN passengers is too high. So that's it on the expansion until we get to recommendations. Next topic was the Naval Air Warfare Center. This is adjacent to the airport, and it actually is an EPA Superfund site because of the PFAS chemicals and other pollutants that are known to be there. In '22, a Navy inspection report recommended they study it for remediation and how they would take care of all the pollutants there. That investigation is supposed to be completed in 2027 and determine what sort of steps will be to mitigate, protect our drinking water. Well, despite that plan, last summer, it was all excavated, okay? And so if you go over there now, it's flattened, it's been excavated. We and New Jersey residents went to the county, and Mercer County, and said, what gives? What happened? What was the mitigation plan? And they said, oh, it's a defense site. It's not our issue. So we went to Congressman Fitzpatrick. They went to the DOD, searched with the DOD, found the right people to talk to, and they said, oh, that's a county problem. That's not ours. So we're getting one of these. The ground's excavated. No one will tell us what's going on with that. We believe we need PADEP to come in and help and sort this out, because maybe they did a good pollution cleanup and we just don't know what happened. All we know is the report wasn't out yet and the ground has been excavated. And so we'd like clarification on that topic. Next slide. Now we transition to the airport property itself, where the airport has used the PFAS-containing foam for training purposes. They've sprayed it indiscriminately on the ground of the airport grounds, and it's been used as weed killer in various locations, which is really not an intended use of that chemical. Okay, so there's known contamination, acknowledged contamination on the site. And so the way New Jersey works this is they hire a licensed site remediation specialist, and then that's out of their hands. Well, that LSRP, so-called, is working under TTN Airport, okay? And so that has been an absolute a stonewall of silence about what they're doing, what kind of survey they're doing, where are they sampling, where are they constructing? So to me, it's kind of the fox guarding the hen house. To have the Trenton Airport in charge of the site remediation sounds to me like a conflict of interest, and we're not getting any information about it. If they were forthcoming and said, here's all the places we've sampled, here's how we're doing, this should be, according to an environmental lawyer from New Jersey who consults with us, there should be a whole site survey done when there's been this much pollution identified on the site. We don't know what's going on. We can't find out. We approached PADEP and said, we need your help here, because yes, that's New Jersey, but this is our drinking water too. PADEP has refused to help, so we went to Senator Santosiero, we went to Congressman Fitzpatrick. Both tried and got nowhere convincing the DEP that this was an issue that Pennsylvania should care about. I find that very disappointing, and I think we should it may be that LMT combined with Bristol, combined with Morrisville, combined with Yardley, could make more of a consortium to say to Pennsylvania governor or whoever needs to, you need to go look into these issues for us. Okay, go talk to your buds at New Jersey DEP and try to get us some answers on what's happening on these issues. The other thing that's kind of surprising is they weren't supposed, and this isn't new, I reported on this last year. The report from the LSRP isn't supposed to be out until this year or next. But meanwhile, New Jersey, Mercer County has been approving permits for all the construction. Okay, and it doesn't address where the pollution is, how it's been corrected or anything like that. It's just permits to go do the construction. So we think that's irresponsible and we need help to do something about it. We're not going to get there on our own. Next slide. The new thing that's kind of been more, led to new community involvement with people complaining is the flight school. So the Infinity Flight School has grown very rapidly. I hear different estimates of their number of planes, but I think it's up to 50 or 60 planes. Okay, so these things line up. If you get one of the little flight-aware apps, you can see the planes lining up on the runway, and sometimes there'll be 6 or 7 planes just waiting to take off. So it's a continuous drone of planes flying over the area. It's a different problem than the bigger plane, the commercial planes that we're worried about with the the expansion of the airport, but it's affecting different groups because they come up over Yardley and then turn north or south. So all along the river, different communities were getting complaints from Titusville and, Washington Crossing up to Lambertville down towards Morrisville. So a whole lot of different people who've never been concerned about the big planes are getting it from the little planes, and the drone people find very annoying, and the planes will loiter, right? They'll just do circle 8s or something, and so you sort of have this lawnmower presence going continuously, and that's what we're hearing complaints about. So there is a new Facebook group in New Jersey out of Titusville and Hopewell called Stop Infinity Flight School Noise. I will say it's kind of disappointing when Supervisor Lewis, you made the effort to go and talk to Mercer County Executive Dan Benson last year, and that was a great breakthrough because we haven't had communication with them before. And so it started a dialogue. We need to continue that dialogue, but what was concerning was, his statement was, the flight school's off the table. That's our top priority. They're flying from 6 a.m. to 10 at night, 11 at night, and it's a constant drone. And there are other communities that have had these issues. The Infinity Flight School in Florida operates under much tighter restrictions than they do here. Okay, so somehow in Florida, the residents gathered up enough momentum and energy to have restrictions. In Colorado, there's a small airport that has a flight school, annoying all the residents. They went to their township, filed a lawsuit, and a judge came back and said to the township, you do have the ability to reduce this annoyance and control it. So it's not that this can't be controlled by Mercer County. And what we really need is to fill the rooms in the Board of Commissioners over there with New Jersey residents who are voters, and that hopefully is starting to build. So that's the last topic. So what we've done this year, we held interviews with WHYY, supported their information gathering. It led to a radio piece that you can find online, which was an interview about all the problems, and she talked to people in New Jersey who were right under the flight line. One of the things that was identified there and was also an issue in a lawsuit in California was the lead pollution from these planes. They do use leaded fuel. And one of the residents over in New Jersey, who we've interacted with a number of times, did lead testing and found higher lead levels on the airport side of his house than on the backside. Okay, and so the case in California was one about leaded fuel and its effect on children. And it led to changes in that airport. And so, there's multiple issues here. There's the pollution from that, there's the droning noise, the fact that it goes day and night, and there's no restrictions on it. People have noticed, people who are very aware of this, have noticed sometimes planes go by and they don't really hear much. Other times, they're extremely annoying. If we had a positive dialogue going with the flight school and the airport, it may be there's particular maneuvers or operations they do that create the most noise. And that the pilots could be told, hey, don't do this when you're pulling over this part of the river or something. Do your climb sooner, do your turns. There's probably a way to help mitigate that noise problem through training the pilots how to do that. There's not much dialogue with the airport. Anybody who's called over there is told you never should have moved near an airport, and there are people who've lived here 30 years. And when they were here, the flight school had a couple of planes, and it wasn't this constant drone sort of thing. People who have put information on the township website, comments, I guess, I don't know if it's your Facebook page or a place where people can put in comments, have been hammered with very harsh statements and have decided to withdraw their comments because they felt they didn't like the harshness of what some of the responses were. So I don't know how you monitor something like that or police that, but it would certainly reduce the number of people who are willing to go put their name on a complaint on a public forum. There's other things you can see in the The notes, if you read that later, there's folks in Longmont, Colorado called Save Our Skies that are very anxious to try to interact with people here and give us lessons learned they've had in dealing with some of these airport issues. There's a group called Clean Water Action, who is it's a nonprofit. Dan, maybe you know of them. They've expressed an interest in trying to support this. We're going to need more volunteers to help manage some of these things if these are paths we want to pursue and if you want to keep the panel enacted to keep following up on these things. We looked at the PA water pollution site. One of our members took the initiative to talk to PA Water, figure out, to go look at the sites. There are some sites on their website in Bristol with elevated PFAS levels, but we can't figure out where the sites are, and they won't tell us. So we need somebody, maybe PADEP, maybe elected officials can press PA Water. I mean, these may be wells that are near ground that had PFAS contamination and are no issue for our drinking water, but we see sites that have elevated PFAS levels, and we can't tell where they are, but that's another spot where we could use some help, and it's where, some of our folks have been doing some work. So we have been continuing to interact with New Jersey folks and try to get them spun up because they really need to talk to their elected officials. So final slide, ongoing recommendations. I think it's really key to have open and ongoing dialogue with Mercer County commissioners, and they have a new airport manager, and they have a new county executive. As I said, Mr. Lewis has already approached them and started that dialogue. We need to continue that. They said in that discussion they were going to do an operations review. What came of that? How do we get our concerns and our needs into their mindset? And so we really recommend continuing that kind of conversation. We'd like to work with Senators Fetterman and McCormick to withhold the airport funding. If we can go in and say, in the appropriations process, you can't have $300 million if you haven't done an EIS. I think they should also have a return on investment analysis to say, why are we spending that much money on this little airport? It just seems irrational that it would take that to improve operations over there. We'd like to see follow-up on the PA water reports that I just mentioned. We think partnering up with some of these other communities that are downriver may help to pressure PADEP to engage on that issue. And we think the panel we need more help. We're going to need more people to get involved with this. But engaging with the Clean Water Action Committee, the Save Our Skies Alliance, all the things I've said, and continuing the interaction with New Jersey and PA residents. So that's sort of the state of things. There's a number of topics there, and I think there's a limit to how far we'll get just calling up as citizens and doing things. I know you've tried from the township perspective and been rebuffed in some circumstances, and so figuring out the strategy of how to do that is going to be something we need your help with.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Thank you for the presentation. Obviously, we've worked very closely together over the years on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
A lot to, I appreciate your speed, the volume of information you provided in a short amount of time. So I'm reading along and most of it I'm aware of anyway, but just catching up. So I will absolutely read more of this. As you're talking, I'm looking up certain things to make sure I'm on the right page or whatever. But you're right. I think the messaging that nobody here has ever tried to shut down the airport by any means. It's just keeping them honest. The concept of segmentation is a big deal when it comes to the National Environmental Policy Act, something I've worked a great deal with over the years. It's just a very tough hill to climb when the federal agency that's supposed to be implementing that law is very quick to let certain folks do what they want to do. So we got to figure out how to address that.
how it should be presented so they can rubber stamp it. So, but that's where if we have help in trying to hold back funding from people who could affect that.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, I think, John, you've been involved in this with me. I think our state senator, state rep have been very involved when we had groups previous. I know we've helped our congressman write letters.
Yeah.
That he signed to try and encourage or enforce or push, depending on, use his influence to whatever avail he could. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like much in this case.
Right.
But we got to continue to try and keep him honest,
Yeah.
however frustrating that may be, and look for ways to do that, to your point.
Yeah. I went back and I'm just like, I guess it was last year when I talked to Commissioner Benson. And by the way, Georgetown Hoya fan, so there was a little disconnect there. But anyway, we were getting some traction on the DVRPC potential funding, and then Commissioner Harvey went to the DVRPC and they wouldn't fund the Part 150 study or the stuff there. But I'm curious, I think the review panel should focus on I did a right to know, what do they call them there? Is it?
Oprah.
Oprah request.
Oprah request, yeah.
Yeah.
Oprah request, has nothing to do with the famous TV person.
No H at the end.
No H at the end, yeah. So open public records request. First on the PFAS stuff, because they claimed they didn't have anything. Remember, we did this like 3 or 4 years ago. So we need to follow up on that. We need another open records request for the PFAS to get the details on that. And I'm not sure how we can engage New Jersey DP. I'm telling me, I've written a lot of letters to Sean LaTourette. The only thing I got out of it was we're linked in together. So I have never met him in
There are
person.
new acting commissioners as of
New-
the new governor.
Okay.
So
Is-
Mercer's no longer there.
Oh, he's no longer there?
No, I think he's teaching at Rutgers right now.
Oh, okay.
There's a new acting commissioner in there as of yesterday. I think there's a new deputy commissioner, so we could kind of try that again. I guess.
That, for the review board, I mean, whoever the liaison is, I've got all my old letters and all the stuff. Okay. That could be a new renewed push. I think also on the PFAS stuff, going in and finding out what the deal is, because I think that it's a distance from the Delaware River, but it's still potentially.
It's all over the property.
Yeah, I know, it's still close to the watershed.
Yeah.
So I still think it's one that, even if the risk is low or have you, it's still, under the law, we still have to, clean it up, understand it, and all that stuff. So we need to keep just pushing on that. So the liaison next year, Supervisor Reese, you get Oprah for the PFAS stuff, and whoever replaced Sean LaTourette, who's now at Rutgers,
I can get you.
we'll find out.
Give me a name.
Yeah, and we need to go find him. And then as it relates to Commissioner Benson or what have you, I mean, we can certainly reach out again. I will say this, we had a good discussion, and part of this is that, I kind of explained, he understood. And part of the reason for the Infinity Flight School, or at least the support of it, is there, are not a lot of similar schools in the Northeast. And so for people that want to get into like airplane mechanics or even some of the other things that are taught there, it's a great opportunity to create jobs for folks in the Trenton area who can then go on to work at either the Philadelphia International Airport or Newark or Teterboro or what have you. So I certainly see his side, or at least where he's coming from in some of that, but to the extent that we can look at ways to manage down the circumstance, I think that's crucial. Also, as it relates to Allegiant, and then, what's the other airline? Frontier. Oh, gosh. Oh, full disclosure, for those following at home, I've had interactions with Frontier, got to visit their corporate headquarters in Colorado. They did not purchase from my company. I do not have any current relationship, but those who follow all that stuff, they seemed like nice people and went to their headquarters, but they made the wrong choice. That being said, that airline industry, both them, Allegiant, and all the second-tier airlines are sort of hurting. So the economic value of that this is why, if you're a taxpayer federally, you're certainly going to be concerned about $300 million for potentially the volume goes down. So that's a concern if you're a federal taxpayer. But if you're a resident, you're like, well, if the volume goes down, that mitigates the noise issue. So I think that one's a little, the flight school might be where we're having more issue now than we think with the other, because the volume hasn't got anywhere near where we thought it would be in terms of traditional flights. Frontier hasn't expanded schedules or anything like that.
But they haven't expanded the airport. That's,
Well, yes,
so,
yeah.
I mean, quintupling the airport and doubling the number of gates and adding the aprons and all that could have a big effect.
Potentially, yeah. Well, the question
That's
is
our concern.
demand.
It's
Yeah.
not so much what it is now, and that's always the problem, is people say, it's not that big of an issue, and it's like, but that's not what it could become.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it comes. Peter had a comment.
First off, Supervisor Lewis and Grenier, both of you have been in the trenches with us, not necessarily from the beginning, but in the deep trenches where we are now. And in listening to the report year after year, it's clear the arrogance that the Jersey officials have displayed, either in avoiding us, destroying information, placating. John, your efforts is something that has become very frustrating. And if you look at it, there's no consequences. There's no contempt. There's no pushback. There's no issue. They'll listen and they'll keep on moving until they're stopped in one fashion or another. I don't mean, arrogantly, but in a way that makes sense. And one thing they said that I heard here was that the flight school is off the table. Well, to me, that's the red flag. So looking into how and what the requirements are to operate a fly school and are they complying with it or not is something that may force them to sit up. Number two, I would think that our state senators, U.S. senators and congressmen, if they get to the right committees in Washington, the Oversight Committee, and ask for a hearing to have the township, not supervisors, the airport managers and supervisors there to come to Washington and explain why information that should be of public is disappearing. Funds of $300 million are unaccountable. And the FAA these days is coming under a lot of scrutiny and criticism. And the FAA looking the other way, I think when you paint the picture and then the arrogance of trying to dumb it down with misinformation and threats paints a very different picture in the public eye. Richard has done an admirable job, I think, in presenting to the public in the newspapers and the radio. And it's nice news, but that doesn't really get them excited. So I'm asking the supervisors, our supervisors, to try and convene a meeting with our U.S. senators and congressmen to conduct a think approach, talking points to get them down to Washington to review these monetary issues that affect us both politically and economically. And if they don't appear, and the big vogue these days is contempt, let them not comply with a legislative request for information that we're entitled to and the misuse of funds, and the FAA to be held accountable for what they've done. That's my suggestion. Is it a reach? Yes. But after the arrogance and indifference that they've shown to us is disrespectful to you in particular as our officials and to us, the taxpayers, in many respects. And we've seen it, we've heard it, we've lived it, we've done it.
Do we have anybody who's close to Senator McCormick? Unfortunately, I'm not.
We'll try and get access.
Okay. Huh? Oh, we don't live in Connecticut. Oh, I'm trying to be.
We don't live in
I'm trying to be
Connecticut,
super
right.
polite.
You are being very polite.
We'll make our efforts.
Yeah, so the reason I say that is, the former senator before.
Casey?
Toomey was interested in the issue, again, and was somewhat active in it. And we had started to get Senator Casey's staff engaged too, near the end, unfortunately. So I don't know if there's a way we can route. Have we made any outreach to Senator Fetterman at all, or no?
Yeah, they've always sort of participated in a listening mode, which, they say they want to monitor the activities, but they've never really influenced anything or expressed an opinion about them. So we're happy for the monitoring, but it didn't do much. So we think we could have some interaction with Senator McCormick about this. And Judy thought maybe reaching out to Fetterman was a possibility.
We know somebody who's close, but.
You do?
Uh,
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll reach out too.
Yeah, so there's somebody we could talk to that could potentially get to him.
And Congressman Fitzpatrick has participated in the past and probably will continue. I don't know how close he is to our two senators.
Well,
that may be another road.
Yeah.
He is known for inviting people to DC for various things. So maybe he could get us an intro there. I don't know, but
I don't think he's inviting me.
You never know.
Okay.
I didn't go.
But it's certainly something we can keep pushing at. I think and Peter, to your point, the one challenge that we have with this is the challenge that we face on a lot of the issues that we deal with at a state and local level is that, if I can borrow Yiddish, Michigas that's happening in D.C. is making it very difficult for us to do mundane stuff and stuff that would typically normally be able to do government-wise. And it's very frustrating, which is why it's difficult sometimes when you want to, be more aggressive verbally or what have you, and you're trying to solve problems, right? And it's exceedingly frustrating. I don't have easy answers for that. I do know that to keep trying. So,
I will try to reach out to, my husband and my son's businesses have always been in New Jersey. I used to have better connections with some of the older previous county commissioners, because my husband grew up with them, frankly. But I will speak to, there's a couple of people we can speak to in New Jersey that can get us into some of them. It's just, my trust level in the FAA is...
You're absolutely right. I don't interrupt you. The point I'm making is, no one trusts them.
I don't.
At this stage. So what we're hearing now, if we can bring it to the attention of people who can lean on them with this climate, maybe we can move the direction that we need to have done. And that's why I'm being a little bit arrogant in the approach. But we've been so genteel, so nice, that it's just patting us on the head and just moving along. And the project keeps on moving and moving and moving. And
Well, it's not
that's
funded.
why.
It's not funded yet.
What?
It's not funded yet.
Well, if we,
Yeah,
when
but
it's funded, it's too
the
late.
issue is we're dealing with an administration in Washington that is arrogant, that is not polite, has no sense of, I don't know the right word, any social graces whatsoever, as my mother would say. But, and we have to push back. I actually had my house buzzed, and I live over here. And it was one morning, and I had no earthly idea, and yes, I do know the difference in a helicopter swoop, swoop sound. And I don't know who it was that buzzed my house, but it felt like it was literally on my roof. And I looked out and saw a small plane. And I said, I was shocked, because I had never had, really, living where I do, I had never heard that. And I can certainly understand that. I also am concerned that the jet fuel does linger in the air. It does come down. They are flying over elementary schools, where our children are. I feel like dealing with the new EPA and this administration, I'm back to where they were singing the song about don't drink the water and don't breathe the air. It's frightening to me. I used to fly a lot. I don't anymore, and part of it is you have no sense of control when you're in an airplane, and I don't trust the people now that do have the control, quite frankly.
Can we understand then, if we're able to reach out to the U.S. senators, that we can say that our elected officials are encouraging and would encourage a dialogue with them to see how to move to the next stage? Is that something we could say?
we meet with anybody.
I'm sorry?
We'll meet with anybody.
That's all I wanted to do. Thank you.
Anyone who'll listen.
So I think this is really good tact. I think direct dialogue with Benson and the airport manager is still worth trying. I mean, that could be all we end up with, is trying to get them to be good neighbors and letting them understand the noise mitigation steps that can be taken. So, it'd be a multifaceted thrust. But I think this is a good addition to it.
All right. Well, thank you.
right,
Any
thank you,
questions
guys.
from the public? All right, with that, well, thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 8, consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve all of the consent agenda items as listed in the agenda.
Second?
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, so number 9, community development. Authorized financial security release, number 13, final, in the amount of $769,622.50 for Prickett Preserve commercial land development.
Good evening.
Jim, take it over.
This is the final release of the financial security for that development, the commercial piece. All work has been completed satisfactorily, and the project is essentially complete. I think the only thing they have left is to finish a couple of tenant fit-outs, but all site work, sidewalks, roads, landscaping has been installed.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Yeah, so the Disability Advisory Board had reached out on some of the parking, accessible parking spaces. Have those been resolved yet?
I know we looked at it, and after a lot of discussion about where we could possibly move that around, I think we determined that we'd actually wait a little while to see how everything operates for people with disabilities in the parking and the general circulation of the area. And DeLuca's committed that if they need to move a space around here or there, they don't have an issue with that. But it's not something that would be mandated by this financial security agreement.
Yeah.
I will tell you, and I've had to deal with it for over a year, it is not really that accessible. There are some very difficult points, including just in general, if someone needs a rollator or they're using a walker or a cane or whatever, it could be better, let's put it that way. It's not good. It's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of space.
So, can I ask the solicitor a question as it relates? I don't think we would have legal or do we have legal standing to say no or to hold back partial of this?
Do the full release?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. I don't think that falls under the category for which the financial security was kept.
All right. All right, that's all I had then.
I guess, Jim, sounds like they're essentially done, right, is what you were saying. Are there any punch list items or outstanding items that they still have to finish outside of fitting out the buildings for tenants that you're aware of? So everything's good, okay. Do they have to keep any money in escrow in case anything fails post?
The maintenance security component?
Yeah.
I believe there is a maintenance component to this.
Okay. So that's our safety net.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
okay.
point that out.
Yeah, there should be, by law, there's a maintenance period, 18-month maintenance period.
Oh,
Generally, it's,
Yeah, so if something does come up, we have some
leverage, yeah.
some leverage to compel them to do it.
Yeah.
And I think they'll do it anyway, just because.
They've been flexible on some of that, so I'm not. But with that, I'll make a motion to authorize the financial security release number 13, final in the amount of $769,622.50 for Prickett Preserve commercial land development.
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public?
I'd just like to clarify with respect to the parking spaces or the handicap parking spaces, everything that has been constructed is in accordance with the plans and in accordance with law, correct? It's not as if they're missing. I know it may be difficult and there may be too much space, but it is fully compliant.
That is correct.
Okay, then I stand by
But
what
we
I
are
said
looking
earlier.
at ways to possibly improve it.
Understood, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I just wanted to clarify that, thank you.
Jim, do they have to do an as-built plan before they finalize things?
Yes, they did an as-built plan. That as-built plan was reviewed by the engineer
Everything
and
matches.
deemed to be compliant.
Okay.
And all monumentation was set, and they had to certify to that, too. And so basically, it's essentially all done.
I got you.
All right, with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
All right, item 10, the engineer's report. Does anybody have any questions on the engineer's report? All right, that one's quick. Item 11, manager's report.
Yeah, this will be brief, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just wanted to make mention, we talked sort of briefly about stormwater utility fee billing and payment collection approaches at your last meeting. We are in the process of discussing scopes of services with two companies that sort of bridge the gap, if you will, between doing everything internal and then also sort of a full outsource of the billing and collection component. So those two companies, again, have customer service elements. They have billing services. They also have payment collection services through related parties or internally. And we hope to have a proposed sort of strategy and approach to you to discuss at your February 18th meeting. Both companies, I know there was some discussion about timing and potential delay. Both have generally represented that if we, if we're efficient with time in terms of our decision-making process, that they would have the ability to stand things up by that April 1st deadline. So again, we're going through demos, talking to customer references and so forth, and we'll have a recommendation or proposed approach to you at your meeting on the 18th.
Thank you. All right, item 12, Public Works. There is no report tonight. I just want to say thank you very much to Derek and Public Works team for everything they did for the snowstorm. They did a great job, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, just one update just on Highland Drive. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. The one item that was, I think, mentioned previously that was somewhat delayed was the installation of the fencing. The fencing has now been installed, so at this point, it's really remaining punch list items and final restoration of the pavement surface. But I did want to make mention that that fencing was installed.
Definitely did notice it.
Yeah.
Very brief. Once the snow melts and spring is in the air, so to speak,
sure,
it may be worth looking. It's maybe worth looking into some light landscaping to soften the look a little bit.
Sure.
That way.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, so item 13, Solicitor's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The minutes should reflect that this evening prior to this Board of Supervisors meeting, the supervisors present met in executive session to discuss litigation matters and a real estate matter. The first item on the agenda is the ratification and confirmation of the filing of the Notice of Land Use Appeal with reference to 600 Township Line Road, also known as BTC Holdings or Banyan as the applicant. Due to timing of when the decision of your zoning hearing board was issued and how our meetings fell, we did not have time to vote on that and put that in the minutes, but we had filed the appeal on January 29th, and it is of record at this point in time.
Mr. Chair, I move that we ratify and confirm the filing of the Notice of Land Use Appeal Zoning Hearing Board decision for 600 Township Line Road.
Second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All right, with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. Second item is we'd like to discuss, not tonight, given the lateness of the hour, and we will have something formal for you, just a proposal to your zoning ordinance amendments, and to amend it to include certain criteria and just food for thought. We're thinking about requesting that you include certain terms and conditions that mandate certain safety mechanisms for certain projects that are approved. And I that's just one of many things. So if you would allow us to review the ordinance and come forward with recommendations in the future, we'd like to do.
Thank you.
Okay, and the third, it's not on the agenda, but I'd just like the minutes to reflect, and I believe the minutes reflected from our last meeting, but just want to be certain that you did send us to oppose a zoning hearing board application for a proposed car wash that is coming before the zoning hearing board. It has been rescheduled and continued at the request of the applicant numerous times. My understanding is that it is now scheduled for March 17th, and we will be in attendance. Like that maybe as a motion next meeting, but just to read it into the minutes this meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, number 14, supervisor reports. I'll go first. I met with the chair of the EAC over the weekend. There's going to be a presentation that they're giving at the next meeting, so be looking out for that. And next, Supervisor Lewis.
Not much to report. There will be a plan commission meeting on Monday, February 9th, so you definitely want to be aware of that. And I don't know if Supervisor Grenier, you want to talk about the planning study at all? Okay, I'll let you do that one then.
Keep that one brief, though.
Yep.
All right, Supervisor Coyle is not in attendance. Supervisor Reese.
Yes, I met with the golf committee. There has been a change. Spirit has been purchased, I believe, or acquired.
In the process of being acquired, yes.
Still being
yeah.
acquired.
Mhm.
Our lease does run through December of this year.
That is correct, yep.
And I plan on this week, or it was to be this week, but I can't really go out and walk on the golf course. But when the weather is better, take a walk through the golf course, find out more about what their plans are, and let them know how we, as a board, feel. Parks and Rec met briefly. There's nothing really to discuss. You've heard from the airport review people. That was a long meeting, but they came up with a lot of very good recommendations, and it is something that we need more than just the board. We need everyone to get involved.
Thank you. And Supervisor Grenier.
Of my committees, the one that met last night was the zoning hearing board. You just heard our solicitor speak to the to two items. The third item, last night there was one application for variance, or variances, plural, I believe, for a home on Manor Lane. It represents sort of a trend in the township where it's a smaller home purchased where they're looking to, a builder is looking to buy up a smaller home at a lower cost and then massively expand it and go from there. In this case, they wanted triple, it was in a floodplain, they wanted triple the size of the house, build an in-ground pool where none exists in the first place, and also build a shed in the backyard where none currently exists. And what was interesting is they referred to the home, which is pretty indicative of most homes in that neighborhood, as functionally obsolete, as a justification, when I have been in many of the homes in that neighborhood, and they are by no means functionally obsolete. Some of them are quite nice. So the zoning hearing board provided similar comments to the applicant. The applicant has opted to ask for a continuance to go back to the drawing board, let's say, and go from there. One interesting thing was the attorney for that one was the same attorney as another project that they voted to approve, which was a building of a large home in the floodway on River Road. Same attorney, different engineer. This engineer last night actually argued why it was dangerous to build structures in a floodway, and the attorney was agreeing with him. So it was quite interesting. But I think we're going to start seeing more and more of these rebuilds in areas that are less than ideal, with justifications that are questionable at best, and I do not think they're functionally obsolete. So something to look forward to in the future, I guess.
All right.
Nothing else.
Thank you. Item 15, discussion items, we have none. 16, other business, we have none. And 17, appointments, reappointments to boards and commissions. Does anyone have any appointments or reappointments?
I would be happy to do one. So, and I'll explain this one a little bit, just so people understand what I'm doing. One member of our zoning hearing board, Peter Solar, his term was officially up in October of '24. He graciously had stayed on until we could find a replacement. I've known Peter for years now, and he was a great asset to that committee. And he's also on the Patterson Farm Implementation Committee. He is in the process of potentially moving out of the township. So we spoke about possibly, he will be here for some time, so that we do have an alternate position that's open. So he has said that he is willing to be the alternate, move from a full member to an alternate, now that his time is up. So that is the basis of this motion, so everyone understands what I'm doing, and Mr. Solar is aware of this and okay with this. So I would like to make a motion to appoint Larry Borda as a member of the zoning hearing board, and Peter Solar as an alternate member of the zoning hearing.
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Come on up. Just come up to the podium, state your name.
Hi, I'm Frank Falco. Do you need my address too, or?
You just, if you're a resident of the township, and just keep your comments to 3 minutes or under.
I'm not a resident of the township, but this question is for Solicitor Carlton. Just a very quick question. You went by point 13A very quickly. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. The one January 29th appeal that was filed, this is the one that goes to the, is it Court of Common Pleas? Where does that appeal go?
It does, yes.
Okay,
It goes to the
and
Court
I
of
just
Common
want to know,
Pleas.
what is the timeline and what is the next step?
That's a difficult question to answer. The important steps have already been taken as far as the filing of our appeal was done in a timely manner. I know at this point in time, on February 4th, the applicant's attorney has filed a writ of certiorari to review it. There has also been an additional appeal filed by one of the neighboring property owners that has already been challenged by the applicant's attorney. So it is, right now, as far as the timeline is concerned, I really can't tell you, just because there are so many balls in the air. The next step would most likely be to go before a judge for maybe a Rule 27 conference, which means that then there would be an established schedule set forth between the parties. But that, I don't know when that's going to happen.
You answered my question. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, back to the agenda item. I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Any other appointments or reappointments?
Mr. Chair, I have the following appointments to the 9/11 25th Year Remembrance Committee. Ms. Beth Ann McNamara, Ms. Ellen Saraceni, Ms. Chati Banerjee, and Ms. Judy Reese.
Second.
All right, any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All right, with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries 4-0. Any others? All right. All right, with that, I'll move on to our next item, additional public comment on non-agenda items if needed, and I think we got that. Anyone? All right. And my favorite agenda item, adjournment. Everybody have a great night.